From Launch Complex 39 at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida, this is Shuttle Launch Control at T-minus 3 hours, 39 minutes, 49 seconds and counting. We are now in the final 6 hours of the countdown for the launch of Space Shuttle Columbia on mission STS-83. The countdown is being controlled from Firing Room 1 at the Launch Control Center, and we are on schedule for liftoff at exactly 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time this afternoon. This is the 22nd flight for Space Shuttle Columbia and the 83rd mission of the Space Shuttle program since launches began in April 1981, 16 years ago. The primary objective of the STS-83 mission will be to conduct over 2 weeks of experiments inside the Microgravity Science Laboratory Space Lab module, which will include experiments in protein crystal growth, materials processing, combustion experiments, and plant growth experiments. The mission duration for STS-83 is planned as 15 days, 16 hours, 36 minutes, and Columbia will be in a 184 statute mile high orbit. The landing is planned to occur at the Kennedy Space Center on the morning of April 19th at about 7:40 a.m., assuming an on-time launch today. All 7 crew members and the traditional cake with the emblem for STS-83. Down on the far end is Payload Specialist Gregory T, and next to him is Mission Specialist number 3, Don Thomas. Our pilot for STS-83, Susan Still. The commander, Jim Halsell. Mike Gernhardt, Mission Specialist number 2, and our flight engineer, Janice Voss, Mission Specialist number 1, and the payload commander. And next to her is Roger Crouch, Payload Specialist number 1. Standing by now to receive video from the astronaut quarters of the STS-83 crew suiting up. And here we are. Here we see our commander, Jim Halsell. Here's our pilot, Susan Still, the second female pilot to fly the space shuttle. Janice Voss, our payload commander on this mission. Roger Crouch will be responsible for much of the science operations on board the Microgravity Space Lab. Mike Gernhardt, Mission Specialist number 2, and also our flight engineer for STS-83. Don Thomas, mission specialist. Here's Greg Linteris. Sunlight shining brightly into firing room 1 here at the Launch Control Center at KSC, where all of the members of the launch team have been on station, most of them since fueling began at a little after 6 this morning. And here we see pad 39A at the edge of the Atlantic Ocean. This is shuttle launch control at T-minus 2 hours, 37 minutes, 30 seconds and counting. The astronauts have arrived at the 195-foot level of the fixed service structure where the orbiter access arm is located. This is shuttle launch control at T-minus 2 hours, 34 minutes and counting, where we see Commander Jim Halsell being assisted with his equipment for entry into Space Shuttle Columbia.
He's going ahead at this time. MS, what? That's PS2. PS2, I copy. QC will call it 1614 GMT.
Pilot Susan Still now being assisted with her equipment. She'll be in the right seat of Columbia. Mission Specialist number 2, Don Thomas, is next aboard.
OTC, CBSE, 212.
Go ahead.
Step 555, biomed will be a not performed.
Copy, sir.
NTD, DLT, contact.
DLT, NTD, loud and clear. Good morning, Susan.
Mission Specialist Janice Voss now being assisted with her flight suit. She's MS number 1 and will be the payload commander on this flight. Payload Specialist Roger Crouch now preparing to enter Columbia. Mission Specialist Mike Gernhardt now being assisted to prepare for his entry into Columbia.
MS3, this is OTC. I have you loud and clear.
Loud and clear also. Thanks, Jim.
Payload director. Payload the dust. Copy that. Engineering director. Ready to go. Roger that. Safety and mission assurance. SNMI is go. Copy that. Range weather. Launch stretch, we have no constraints to launch, over. Copy that. And ops manager.
Jim, the NMT has no other issues. You're clear to launch.
Copy. And Columbia will be picking up momentarily. You guys have a great mission, and we'll see you back here in about 2 weeks. NPD, you're clear to launch.
Columbia copies.
And now we'll be checking the flight controls on the orbiter, the aero surface profile test. Vehicle will go to internal power in about 10 seconds. Coming up on T-minus 3 minutes 23 seconds, we're now gimbaling the 3 main engines, checking their steering capability.
Caution and 1 memory clear, non-expected errors.
And copy flight 2. You will go to close and lock your visors, initiate O2 flow, and enjoy your on-orbit spring break.
Roger that, sir. We'd like to say thanks to everybody who has got Columbia and us ready to fly.
10.
9, 8, 7. Ignition sequence start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And liftoff of Space Shuttle Columbia with the Microgravity Science Laboratory, our research bridge to the space benefits of tomorrow.
Hopeful to Houston.
Roger, roll, Columbia.
Houston's now controlling. Columbia is rolling on course toward a 160 nautical mile high orbit, inclined 28.5 degrees to Earth's equator. Columbia already traveling 300 miles per hour. Columbia's 3 main engines is now throttled back to 2/3 throttle to prepare the spacecraft to pass through the area of maximum air pressure and go supersonic. Altitude now 2.5 miles, 1.5 miles east of the launch pad. Columbia is traveling 650 miles per hour.
Columbia, go with throttle up.
Copy, go with throttle up.
Columbia's 3 main engines now back at full throttle, all systems on board in good shape. Columbia speed now 1,500 miles per hour, altitude 12 miles. 1 minute 55 seconds since liftoff. Flight controller standing by in the next few seconds for burnout and jettison of the twin solid rockets. Booster officer confirms good separation of the solid rockets.
Columbia, performance is nominal.
Copy, performance nominal.
This is Mission Control Houston. This view shows the inside of the Space Lab module, the Microgravity Science Laboratory 1.
Houston, Columbia for Space Lab.
And go ahead for Space Lab.
We're doing the activation of the cameras for ingress, and it looks to me like Inco's playing with the cameras and everything's looking good down there. Is that true?
And that's affirmative. We have a great view of Space Lab.
Great, thanks.
We've got it all set up for your entry, Janice.
Okay, we'll be there in a little bit. Houston, Columbia for Space Lab. I'm ready to start step Juliet if you have some deltas for me.
Yes, Janice, we had one delta, and that concerned the fact that there's a circuit breaker that needs to be turned on rack 4. That's R4W. That's EPSP number 4. And the circuit breaker is DC1, and we need it to be turned on in order to power up VCRs 3 and 4 later on.